Hello, everybody, and welcome to another amazing episode of the Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. You guys know who it is. This is Tony Lynch, and I am the host of this podcast. And yes, we are your number one podcast for bringing you conversations around death, dying, and grief, and all the messiness that comes in between it, with some amazing people out here, not only walking the walk, but talking the talk, changing people's lives, one heartbeat at a time. Now, before I bring on my next guest, I would like to ask that if this is your first time tuning in, please do me a favor, head on over to their YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. But most importantly, this is a live stream. So if you have any questions or comments, put them in the comment section and we'll be sure to answer them as we go. Now, before you do that, I would like to say keep it respectful because we do have people up here who are actively grieving. So we would like to support them and make sure that we're not causing any more problems in their life than what needs to be. Now, before I bring up my next guest, I got one more thing. This is for educational purposes only. Okay, so now without further ado, guys, help me welcome my next guest, Kelly Ritchie, to the show. Kelly, how you doing?
Oh, hello. How are you, Tony?
I am doing well. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and honored to be a guest and be able to have this conversation with you. And
I'm yes. I'm excited to have this conversation with you as well. Now, before we get into your story and your work, to introduce yourself to the audience, tell people who you are, where you're from, and about the work that you do.
my name is Kelly Ritchie. I am from California, Northern California area in the Sacramento market, small town, growing town called Roseville, California. If anybody knows, give a thumbs up. I um, helping people with their grief and their loss and coping with it and realizing that everything that they're going through and feeling is normal. I started my own grief journey a while ago, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But and I've been searching for so many things to help me, and I know that I've been called through all of this to help other people because it's not a journey that any of us really wants to be on, but it's part of life. So through breath work, through speaking, through my own little studio that I opened, and my own journey and learning that I've been through, I'm wanting to share that with everybody.
Yeah. Now, how did you get into this work? Like you have an amazing journey of how all of this started. Would you mind sharing that with the audience?
I don't mind at all. That's why we're here, right? So, and I'll try and get through this. I've been emotional all day, but I'm going to try and get through it. If I cry, guys. So back in 2016, I have three children. My oldest Kayla is 37. My middle daughter Kira was 33, and then my son Camden is 18. And back in 2016, Kira, at the time 25, was having some problems with headaches, and she would get dizzy when she stood up. She blacked out one time when she was driving. She just was not feeling well at all. So she, being the smart girl that she was, took it upon herself, went to her doctor, tried to figure out what was wrong with her. Ultimately, she got diagnosed with what is called pseudotumor cerebri. And what that means is that it presents like a tumor in the brain, but it's not really a tumor. She had the veins in her brain that were stenosed, so she was backing up of fluid, and it was putting pressure on her optic nerve, on her spine, on everything. So after meeting with doctors and after having second opinions and going through all of the testing and everything that she needed to go through, she went in May of 2017 to get a procedure to place a stent in her left transverse sinus. He threaded up through the femoral artery. Well, in that process, he was having a hard time getting around one of the curves. This is what the radiology tech said. He's having a hard time getting around. I said, what does that mean? Right. So I have to laugh. Otherwise, I might not get through this. But so at that point, she'd been under X-ray and radiation because it was guided for a while. And I said, "We'll move to the other side. Just go through the other side and try that way." And the next person who came out was the doctor saying that he thinks he nicked an artery over here. And I think I went into shock at that moment. And I don't know if I came out of it until about this year, the shock.
Yeah.
Not, thinking that this is just a teeny tiny little needle or whatever he's threading, he's using, because he's going up through a femoral. It's got to be so small that it's just a little drip, right? Nothing major. Well, we sat there looking for a neurosurgeon. He was calling around. And then the next thing I remember is they wheeled my daughter out of the room that she was in. And the doctor immediately checked her eyes. And I remember saying, what happened? What did you do that for? And he's like, oh, no. Well, long story short, it wasn't just a drip of blood. She had a massive hemorrhagic stroke that was catastrophic. She ended up getting a craniectomy, which means they removed part of her skull to relieve the pressure. And she just never recovered. And I'd never wrapped my head around what actually happened to her until probably 5 or 6 years in. I always held out hope that she would recover. This was just a brain injury. She's going to recover. And then I wrapped my head around the fact that it was a massive stroke that she had. And most people of that caliber of stroke don't recover. She lived. She was in what they called a persistent vegetative state, which meant she needed 24-hour care. She couldn't eat. She couldn't talk. She couldn't drink anything. She couldn't take food by mouth. She didn't recognize. She didn't acknowledge. I'll do more on that because I think she did acknowledge. But so she needed to be changed and bathed and have her teeth brushed and everything. Well, yeah, she lived like that for about 7 years. And then last year, January 30th, 2024, on her 33rd birthday, my oldest daughter and I made the decision. She'd gotten sick. She'd gotten sepsis. She'd survived COVID and pneumonia and shingles on her face and GI bleeds and consistent recurring UTIs. And my oldest and I made the decision to put her.
Take a minute, please.
Yeah. So we made the decision to put her on hospice, and knowing that her birthday was just a couple of days away, I really wanted her to have another birthday with us and for us to have another birthday with her. So about 12 hours after we put her on her hospice, she passed away, surrounded by all of us, completely peaceful. There was probably 25, 30 of us in her room, which is this room actually now. I turned it into my office so I can be in here with her all the time. So yeah, that's my story in a nutshell. So now I was called a couple of years ago to really take on my own healing, and I found breath work. So using breath as transformation and as healing has been the most amazing thing that I've done for myself. I started wanting to be a public speaker a few years ago because we were in the caregiver stage at that point, and that in itself is a very, very stressful way to live. We didn't get to grieve her when she first had her accident. We had to go straight into caretaker mode and conservator mode. And when I say we, me and my kids. And I also have a granddaughter who was 4 at the time. So she doesn't remember a lot of what happened, but we remember her. We make sure she's remembered all the time. So I having been through what I went through and what I was living through at the time and what I'm still living through now in a different part of this journey, I realized that I need to help people through this.
Yeah.
I speak about it. I need to help people. There's a lot of grief and loss, whether it's of a child, as you know, family member, a relationship, a future that you thought you were going to have. Everybody experiences some kind of grief when they lose something or something changes. it doesn't have to be as catastrophic as losing, a child. It could be identity. It could be, there's a lot of ways that we constantly go through grief and loss in life, and we can cope with it in a healthy way, and in a way that'll keep moving forward. That's been my slogan with my kids. But I think it was the movie The Jeffersons. I don't remember the name of the movie, but he said something about keep moving forward. That was our slogan. So I've used that forever. And it really has helped me. I think those three little words have helped me so much through this. Just keep
Yeah.
moving.
As you was saying that, I was remembering uh, an infomercial from a TV show, and it's from a doctor who is autistic. I can't remember the name of the show, but he was talking about loss, right? And he put it so delicately. He goes, when we lose people, it hurts. It doesn't stop the hurt, but we have to find a way to keep moving forward for those that are still here.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I love that he said that and things like that. And I want to add to it because I know there's people out there that may be in a state where they're not seeing that aspect of it. And it does take a long time to get there. It really does, right? The slightest little thing can take you backwards. It can take you sideways. It will flip you around in so many different ways.